All right. I guess we're streaming. We're live.
All right. Welcome to our Carnivore Conversations tonight.
Yeah. I have no idea where the chat view is. Bear with us.
This is our second live, and there we go.
And we have...
We're still learning the technology.
We have presence.
Hey.
Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. Okay. We're going. Let's dock that there so maybe we can see what's going on.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent.
Because there's nobody watching,
Yeah.
we were free to just kind of sit here and be
Talk about private
chill.
things?
Yeah, we could talk about private things. Doesn't seem like a smart thing to do.
No.
We just had the hog log,
We did.
which was quite good.
We teased it in the video that's coming out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, we teased it, but we didn't show it.
No, we didn't. So we're messing with the time space spectrum here. And yeah, we ate it tonight. It was really good.
It was super juicy.
Holy cow.
You made it on the green egg.
It was 2 for 1 at the grocery store. So I stocked up on some of them.
And you got 2.
I got more than 2.
Oh,
I stocked up on them. Yeah.
I see.
Yep. So I put on the big green egg, as you said. It was delicious. First time I've used Redmond's barbecue rub.
Oh,
Red Rock, is it? Red Rock barbecue
I didn't know
rub?
they made such a thing.
I didn't either. And then I said, they must. And I looked online, and sure enough, they do.
Ms. Jackson's with us,
Hey,
which reminds me of the Janet Jackson song, which I'm sure you've heard many, many times.
many times. Oh, there. Hello. I couldn't find it on the screen. Hi.
So we are a little bit over cameraed today because we already recorded a video and I just got done editing it and it's coming out tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And it's a funny one.
Yeah. It was just, we were just having some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are watching this on playback, go check out our Carnivores Know Best video because I think there's some classic laughing moments there.
I even used my version of the F word.
It was pretty tame.
Yeah.
Hi, Diana.
Hello. Yeah, we just finished eating our hog log off the big green egg. Maybe.
It always makes me laugh every single time.
You just came up with it last week.
We've got meat!
We've got meat, yes.
Which we will be talking about tomorrow
Yes.
in the new video.
So today, I've been experimenting a little bit. I've read Dr. Elizabeth Bright's book, which has a mouthful of a title, Good Fat is Good for Women Menopause, I believe, something along those lines. Good fat is good for women. Anyway, I read that many, many months ago, up my fat level. I go to the butcher now and get bags of fat to bring home. Mm-hmm. But today, for the first time, I'm actually following her guideline about like how much to eat at each meal.
Okay.
And I don't know, it could be coincidence, but I have been in a phenomenal mood today.
You have been in a very good mood.
Yeah. Again, could be coincidence.
And it's just because you've eaten more fat?
Well, I've eaten to her proportions. I think I've been eating enough fat, but it's really spacing it out through the day and trying to keep your cortisol level down. And I feel like I've been running a little high on my cortisol lately.
Just by how you feel inside?
How I feel. Well, I've been having a little more trouble sleeping, even though I just said on a video that I don't have trouble sleeping. It's not usually a long-term thing. But I've been having a little more trouble sleeping. I've been extremely active. So I feel like if I'm active, the body just sort of keeps running. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's an experiment. I don't know how long I'll do it. I'm not committing to anything, but I did it today.
Well, maybe I should investigate this, although it doesn't sound like a very manly book.
It's not really aimed at you.
But I definitely felt cortisol-y this morning. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know why it would be, because I actually slept pretty well last night, which is unusual, but
If you saw our carnivore sleep video,
yeah.
this is not the report I usually get. I usually get, I've slept poorly, or I slept pretty well, but I still feel like garbage. So this
Yeah.
was new.
Yeah, it was nice to. I mean, I was awake for a little while in the night, but yeah, I don't really know what's changed. I am getting more sunshine during the day. It seems like maybe that helps. I don't really know. But yeah, I was feeling a little cortisol-y nonetheless this morning, and I don't really know why that would be. But I have a suspicion I'm not getting enough fat these days because I don't like to just eat a fat blob on a plate the way that you do it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get that down. And when I started eating ground beef in hamburger patty form, for a while I was adding some tallow to it to kind of up the fat level. But then I started just eating frozen hamburger patties, and you can't really add tallow to something that's a hockey puck. So I think I've been slightly fat deficient.
It's interesting because you tend to gravitate and be able to swallow the more lean meats.
Yeah.
Which is why we had the pork tenderloin hog log tonight.
The sirloin and the filet are my favorites.
Yeah.
For some reason.
So yeah, it's kind of. Do you need to have more fat or not?
I don't know. I get more in butter, but maybe it's just not the same. Maybe I don't have the beef power coursing through my veins if I don't get the beef fat.
I did not have beef fat today, though. I just did butter because it was easier to follow her recommendation with that. So, Annette is in the house.
Hi, Annette.
We've got Miss Jackson, Diana, and Annette.
We didn't know we were going live either until right before we ate dinner, and I'm like, should we go live?
And I said, well, I don't have anything else to do tonight, which is true because my youth theater group is on hiatus for the summer. So I usually have theater rehearsal on Tuesday nights, but tonight...
And it's Tuesday? Oh, yeah.
It is Tuesday.
Now, we have some big storms that are going to be rolling through in some hours.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we don't get sucked up into a tornado, which is one of her nightmares.
It is. So it's not like a regularly recurring thing, but I do have dreams about getting sucked up in a tornado. But here's the trick: is you just have to swim out of them.
Oh, well then there's nothing to worry about if you just swim out.
Yeah. See, I don't tend to have nightmares ever.
Well, how does this relate to carnivore? Well, in Twister, a cow got sucked up into a tornado, famously. Although I think that might have been a dairy cow now that I'm thinking
It was
about
a dairy cow.
And there's a new Twister coming out.
Yeah?
I don't really know much more about it than that, but I'm guessing we'll see a cow go flying. So, pardon me. I want to cough so bad, and I'm trying not to because we're on a live, and I can't edit it out.
No, you can't. That'll blow their ears out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was Elizabeth Bright's book that you've been reading?
Well, I actually skimmed it.
What's the title of it again?
I think it's Good Fats Are Good for Women, the menopause version. She just came out with the adolescent version too. I don't even want to watch that because I already have regret about our carnivore daughter who I knew her diet wasn't good when she was young. When she was young, I owned a dance studio. So I was gone in the evenings. The babysitter would feed her and you and I would eat when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a lot of convenience food, but my solace was at least it's low in fat. Yes, it's chicken nuggets or the little pizza from Schwann's, but at least it's low in fat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she remains a carnivore to this day.
Yeah, there's no going back and...
No.
What's going on? What's going on here? Where I love with my mom. Live with your mom. That's what you meant to say.
You'll get better at this, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was a typo.
I know.
It's so...
oh, live now. I got it. We also should one of us should keep talking while one's reading. Probably.
Yeah, probably we're not good at this.
Get there. there. We'll get there.
So where's everybody from?
That's a good one.
Yeah, put that in the chat. I know Dr. Barry says that. I like that when he does it.
Yeah. We are in southeastern Wisconsin. We are between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Yep. It's pretty rural where we live, and we are going to be moving in some months.
Yeah, 3-4 months maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still in the area, but moving out of this house.
It's 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it because we drive there almost every day
Mm-hmm.
so that the dogs can be exercised, because it's a huge property with lots of area to run. And I want to be on it so that I can, at the drop of a hat, walk out and go for a long walk in the countryside, which is just an amazing privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Portland, Oregon. I've been to Portland numerous times, and then I immediately leave to drive to Lincoln City. Although I haven't been there in a while. I was going to writer workshops there.
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Washington. Oh, okay.
Ah,
Yeah. Everybody's on the Northwest.
wow. Now, when you went to Washington for a business meeting, I was pregnant. I was too pregnant to travel because I used to go to business trips
that was
with you.
Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never been to either Washington or Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to California. Many, many, many.
I spent more time in Oregon, and it is absolutely gorgeous in the areas that I was at. Just absolutely beautiful. So Lily says, hey, you two, I'm 50 and started keto, but mainly carnivore a month ago, and already lost 10 pounds.
Hey!
I'm only taking half of blood pressure meds
Congratulations. That is huge.
in Miami, Florida.
Nice.
That is awesome. And that's actually kind of relates to the topic we just recorded our video on, which will come out tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, is if we saw somebody like you who we thought we could help, but we didn't know you, we wouldn't be able to say anything.
Basically.
So we're so happy you found carnivore and that it's working for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you've been able to get off your some of your medication.
Yep.
And me too. I've been able to reduce some of mine.
Ms. Jackson's daughters are carbivores too. She's in Tacoma, Washington. What's going on in the Pacific Northwest? Is everybody just on YouTube all the time? Probably, because it's probably raining. That would be the cliche thing to say. Although the time I did spend in Lincoln City, it rained pretty much all the time. There would be a few sunny days.
And you were there for, did you say?
It was writing workshops and writing conferences.
Yeah.
And many, many of them
Yeah.
were hosted out there, and it was just gorgeous.
And then they moved their home base to Las Vegas, which isn't quite the same.
It wasn't the same kind of destination for me. I liked being able to have the walks alongside the ocean and watch out from sneaker waves.
Sandra, hello from Western Australia. Hey there.
Now I know not to do my terrible Australian accent on the live. It's absolutely abysmal. So I will not. I will spare you.
I have the urge to say the C word. Crikey. You probably have heard enough of that.
Yeah. Annette's had 2 ribeyes already and nothing else to do. That's a lot of ribeyes.
Well.
Depends on how big they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually is raining. That's funny.
Yeah, I usually have a steak for lunch, and today I had leftovers from last night, which was the beef tenderloin roast. It was pretty good for a leftover. But I really like my steaks for lunch.
Oh, she says gives me permission to do it because she's Kiwi by birth. I don't think I can do the New Zealand thing. The only New Zealand accent that I ever really listened to closely was Peter Jackson, who did the Lord of the Rings movies. And he always called himself Peter Jackson.
That's all you get.
Jackson. I love it. I could listen to it all day long.
Whenever we hear someone with an accent on TV,
it doesn't matter what the accent is.
It doesn't matter what the accent. We say random words right after we repeat random words.
I just have I'm a writer. I love the language. I love how it sounds. I love how language feels in my mouth. So when I hear interesting accents, I just can't help but just mimic them. But I don't do it well.
No. Oh, Diana, you're from Illinois originally. Whereabouts in Illinois?
It's a tiny state. It could only possibly be Chicago.
So small. I'm getting hot.
My parents lived in Peoria before I was born, but I don't know how long that was.
A lot of my family came up through Illinois. A lot, like on many sides.
15 ounces of ribeye total.
Yeah.
Fasting for the day. Well, that would do it. If you fasted all day long and then you were ready for dinner, then 15 ounces makes sense. I could see that. If it was a good ribeye with from the right cow, I could probably get it down.
Hey, I had ribeyes from this place. We were at a Quick Trip type gas station convenience store place buying eggs.
Yeah, emergency
and I think
eggs.
maybe some bacon, and this, I swear, this old farmer, you could tell he was probably a farmer because he was wearing the overalls.
Yeah.
And that's about all.
He was straight out of Central Casting.
Right. And he's like, hey, Bub.
He didn't say Bub.
But he's like, hey, have you ever been to Hanson's?
He did say that.
And Hanson's is an ice cream shop.
Yeah, right.
Right? But he didn't mean that. He's like, it's a meat place. They've got really, really good food, really good prices. So I went to Hanson's last week by myself, and it was really interesting. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Supposedly, all sort of local sustainable farms use this place. And you go in, and I thought I'd see a meat counter. But no, you go in, and the sort of brusque woman behind the counter, because we're all sort of Scandinavian and stuff, so we're not necessarily the warmest people in the world. And she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, how do I do this? So she gives me this laminated menu, and I pick out the cuts I want, and I tell her, and that's fine. And then she's like, so how thick do you want your ribeye? I'm like, 1.5 inches, maybe? I don't know. So it was really interesting because they cut it for you and prep it for you all right there. And I've never experienced anything like that. It was really cool. And the meat was really good. You might have actually liked the ribeye. And I got a bag of fat from there, of course. They didn't think anything of it. It's right there on the menu.
Oh, a bag of fat is on the menu?
Like you could, beef fat trimmings on the menu.
Okay.
So, and I have to say, sometimes when I'm eating the beef fat, there are some pieces that are better than others, but this was all consistently good so far. I haven't gotten through all 4 pounds or whatever.
What?
In the last week.
But I thought, I'm sorry, I'm going to cough so bad.
Oh, no.
I thought Dr. Bright's book had you eating all this extra fat.
Well, not that much fat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. About the equivalent of a stick of butter a day.
Oh, well, that's not that bad.
No. But it is a little bit, it moderates the protein a little bit.
Yeah, well, that would make sense.
Yeah, for her. And she says it's a temporary thing. It's not meant to be that you limit your protein all the time. But it's not a huge severe limit on the protein. I can't remember what the exact ratio is, but you taper it back a little bit. Yeah.
So, Ms. Jackson, you guys have me in tears. Well, I hope they're happy tears. It looks like from the emoji they are. Annette gets a half a beef from the butcher. I hope that you don't have to carry it home.
A block.
Says you can walk there. It's local beef, so it speaks the same with the same accent. Which reminds me that when you learn a different language, don't the animals say different things?
We asked, our sister-in-law is Japanese.
Yeah.
And we asked her about that. And she said, oh, yeah, because is it the mouse that goes?
No, I think that's how a bug moves. I don't know.
I don't know, but we went through a whole list of different animals, and they said They made different noises. It was very interesting.
Hi, Kathy. Caught you live. You guys are
Aw,
fabulous. Love your
thank
content. Oh,
you.
that makes me feel all special.
Thank you.
I never get tired of hearing that. I have a deficit of having heard that in my entire life.
Not from your mother.
No. The thing about that was my mom said how great all of her kids were so frequently that it didn't mean anything at all.
Yeah. We both suffered from that. Suffered.
Yeah.
With our parents.
Too much love.
With our moms.
I'm traumatized.
Being a little overly effusive. And so I think we've accidentally gone in the opposite direction with our daughter. We do give her praise, but not probably as much as she needs. I think her love language is words of affirmation, and we're not the best parents for that.
And that says Idaho beef accent is moo Idaho. You da pimp Idaho. Wait a minute. I said this was a G-rated stream.
Idaho. What?
Yeah. That's funny. Oh my goodness. What a weird, I mean, everybody's watching has watched lives before and YouTube's been with us for a couple decades now, I think. And yet it is so strange to be able to beam our faces around the world through this camera that's right in front of us and have people chat back. I am so glad this didn't exist when I was 16. I just found a whole crate of old cassette tapes. Well, I knew where they were, but I got a little Walkman so I could play them because when I was basically from the time I was 15 until I was deep into my 20s, I wrote and recorded songs, and I made demos on a cheap little 4-track cassette machine. And I hadn't heard any of those demos for 20 years. And so I put those into this tape player and I started listening. How many times was I laughing?
Oh, yeah.
And if YouTube had existed back then, I would have played those on YouTube. And I don't think my ego could have survived the absolute justified opprobrium, is that the right word, that I would have gotten. That would have been disapproval. I would not have become a influencer star. I would not have been discovered. I might have become a meme.
But you were the guitar star amongst your group of friends.
Yeah, that was a great example of how you can be a big fish in a little pond and you could be a really tiny little fish. But I did nothing in high school but play guitar and read fantasy novels, and it served me well.
But when we were hanging out together, before we were dating, you played a song for me in the car, one of those mixtapes or whatever, one of those tapes of your music.
Yeah.
And it had a song on it that I wasn't sure if it was directed at me or not.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It was probably a song called Cross the Line.
Yes.
And I didn't find that one yesterday,
No.
but I'm dying to hear that one again.
Yeah.
But it probably was about you.
Yeah.
And I probably played it on purpose.
You
so
confirmed
that
all that. Yeah, you confirmed after the fact. But so that was a sort of important part of our history.
Oh, Sandra says our humor is the perfect dessert for steak. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No internet as a teen was great. I don't want proof of anything I did. Can you imagine in the 80s if we would have had these phones recording things? None of us would be able to have jobs. We all would be instantly canceled. The 80s were a different era, totally. Oh my gosh. Created a Star Wars parody. Oh, wow. I want to hear it.
We used to do the fake DJing too.
Oh, yeah,
with the,
constantly.
Right?
What was your fake radio station?
I don't remember. I don't.
Hmm.
Do you? What was yours?
WKIL.
Oh, see.
Because it, spells kill.
I probably just did one of the ones in the local area.
But that was before I knew that there was radio stations that began with K, because then I would have done KIIL, which would have made a lot more sense.
Mhm.
But I was into metal, so that would have been cool.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with carnivore, though.
No.
Actually, we could talk about how in that era, how much meat did you eat?
I ate almost no meat in that era.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hated meat most of my life.
How about chicken?
Well, my mom would make chicken.
That's not what I asked.
I would eat it. I'd choke it down. It would be usually chicken breast. Or a pork chop that was with cream of mushroom soup on top. Slick it down. Slick it so it can go down. Actually, my mom went to school to be a chef. So some things she could really cook well. She did bread beautifully. That's baking.
Well, this is stop.
Yeah.
She never became a chef.
She never became a chef.
Yeah.
But my grandpa owned a restaurant at one time, so I think she had visions of being in business with him.
I never connected those dots.
Yeah. But that didn't happen. So anyway, so she could cook, like she would make a beautiful beef bourguignon or duck with cherry sauce, like some really good foods. But then most of the time though, because she worked full time, it was like the pork chop dried out with the cream of mushroom soup on it. So I did not like it. I did not like meat, and I would go to McDonald's and get a salad if I could, or maybe some chicken nuggets. That would be the McDonald's option, usually chicken nuggets, which in my memory taste like plastic. I don't know. But yeah, there'd be meat. I'd eat, I was really good at making spaghetti. So I'd have a meat sauce in that. But the meat had to be kind of disguised. That was really the big thing about it.
Yeah, I remember we had a common friend who always complained when a hamburger patty was too small. And I was like, you are nuts. I don't ever want to taste any of it. I want the bun to be huge and the meat to be small because I was a total carbivore and just hopped up on sugar from basically the time I was 4 until, well, sometime in my 30s probably. Yeah. But yeah, the idea of eating the meat back then was just so gross.
Yeah.
If we could flash forward and see us now, I don't know if my 16-year-old self would be more horrified by the amount of meat I eat or the fact I have no hair.
Well, you knew you were heading for no hair. You did not know you were heading for...
I didn't know I was headed for no hair. I was a rock guitar player. I had long, blonde, pretty seedy looking hair, which I a couple of times got permed so that it would have a spiral curl to it. And it was everything for me. It was the source of my strength. And I had no clue that I would eventually one day just...
Yep.
But I still think the amount of beef that I eat now would horrify my 16-year-old self.
I'm just catching up. Tibby, her sisters did a radio station too. Yes, it was so much fun. And that had liver and onions too. I did not. My grandparents would eat liver and onions, but I never had it growing up. And loaded the grape nut cereal with sugar. Yep. And I also remember when McDonald's fries were made in tallow. And I remember when it switched over
to healthy vegetable oil.
Vegetable oils, yeah. That was a big deal. A big, big deal. I loved the 80s too. I'm really happy I was around, like that was my teenage years. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was born in 1970, and so the 80s were like the sweet spot of that sort of development into a teenager. And I have extremely fond memories of the vibe of it, but none of those fond memories have anything to do with school.
No, you.
I hated it, but it's such a, it's like a world that doesn't exist at all anymore because there's so little shared pop culture. It used to be on Thursday nights in the United States, everybody watched NBC in the lineup.
Yep.
And I mean, it was like Cosby, Cheers, Family Ties. I don't know what exactly the lineup was, but it was just tens and tens of millions of people would watch the same thing
And
at the
then
same time.
Friday night was Friday Night Videos.
Oh my God,
Because
Friday
we
Night
didn't have
Videos.
MTV for, we lived in the country. We
Yes.
didn't have MTV for a very, very long time.
Yeah, because we didn't get cable until I was in college. So, yeah.
And we'd record them.
Yeah, if you set the VCR right, you can watch them. And we watch it multiple times.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, not another Pointer Sisters video. I want Def Leppard.
I'd be going, well, actually, I like Def Leppard okay. They were okay. But yeah, I was not, I was more the new wave techno pop dance music type of person. And I was also born in 1971, like Annette. Yeah.
So, well, there was a extremely boring trip down memory lane. So let's talk about Carnivore, since that's ostensibly why people showed up. They don't want to hear us just talk about random things and laugh.
Well, that happens. It's bound to happen.
I got a new cooking thing for our Carnivore thing.
Yes.
And I don't remember who made it.
Cuisinart.
Well, there it goes. There you go. And it's a, it's kind of like a George Foreman grill, like a clamshell kind of thing with two grills on it to sandwich meat. But what's...
Well, actually, to sandwich sandwiches.
Because it's like, panini press.
It's technically a panini press.
But the grill inserts are removable, and you can flip them, and they can be a griddle. And you can hit this button and open it flat, and then you can cook stuff on a griddle or grill. So you could be making a steak or a burger on one side and frying up something else on the other side. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it seems much faster and easier cleanup than the air fryer that I had been using for so long. And I'm kind of excited about it. I like being able to cook two sides at once because as anybody who's watched our channel knows, I detest cooking. I'm extremely lazy about it, and I often end up with only half-cooked meals because I get so impatient.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to bring that home. It's at, did you say it was at the other place?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So our other property that we'll be moving to in a few months is, the house is undergoing a renovation, massive, like it was nearly gutted. So that's all happening. And we have a pole barn that has electricity and running water, but it runs, it's cold water and it runs in a trickle. So very grateful to have that. It's great to be able to use, there's a bathroom there and everything, but it's not ideal for washing dishes.
It's terrible.
It's not good at all.
And you may know this, but if you cook beef, once that fat cools down, it's extremely gross, oily, greasy, and you need to be able to cut that with a detergent.
And some warmer water.
And detergent doesn't really work that great with cold water.
Yeah. So I would like to bring that home sometime. Next time we want to do carnivore pancakes.
Oh.
I'd like to bring that home though, because if you saw our video where I was making the carnivore pancakes, I was trying to do it in this frying pan or cast iron thing, but it was difficult, and the griddle flat surface would be a lot easier.
I'm ready for carnivore pancakes right now.
No, it's not happening. That's a bit of a project. Not too bad, but it's a bit of a project.
And that uses a dehydrator.
Oh.
Jerky with roasts that aren't that great.
I'm thinking about it, but kind of waiting till we move, I think, to just assess where it'll go.
You dehydrated something in the oven.
I just started using the oven after the meetup that we did in April. Was that in April? Yeah, it was in April. Carrie Homestead House Healing Humanity meetup, I dehydrated some pork loin because Audra made it. And it was like, she sliced it really thin and salted it up, and it was like eating potato chips.
Yeah, they were like little pork potato chips.
Little pork potato
and they
chips.
were good.
They really were, but I have to say by like the third or fourth bite, now that I've made them, it tastes more like pork than potato chip. It only, my brain's only tricked for so long. But still, I love it. It's great. And you can put those little pork cracklings on top of something else for a little texture. It's really nice.
Yeah, because getting some crunch every once in a while is kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And I also made bacon jerky for the first time in the oven, and it was good too, but I think it needed to go a little longer. And then I tried something else too, didn't I? That was kind of a fail.
I don't know, because I probably didn't try it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about getting one.
So if you're making jerky at home, are you seasoning it just with salt or something, or do you do something special to it to give it some extra flavor? Because some of what I've had have just tasted kind of like a dog treat. Maybe it's just my taste buds aren't ready for it. I'm not level 10 carnivore yet, so maybe I can't handle it. But I'm interested to know how to make it, because I tend to like jerky, but a lot of it is very sweet because they add sugar to it. So I can't have that.
Ms. Jackson's celebrating 90 days carnivore on Monday.
Congratulations.
Bravo. That reminds me, your anniversary's coming up.
My 1 year.
Your 1 year and 6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Wonderful. What kind of benefits have you seen?
We're not going to just wait here in silence until you answer.
But go ahead, put it up. We'll catch it. We'll catch it in a bit. Yeah, after you buy a full beef, you would maybe need the dehydrator. We've not gone for buying a cow. A friend of mine, her sons work at a farm where they have beeves.
Beeves, yeah.
And so it would be really easy to get a cow, but I don't know if we'd eat all the cuts. I'm concerned about...
I'm a problem.
I'm concerned about that.
So it's Redmond salt, chili lime,
Oh.
another rack with onion salt, barbecue salt. Are these all Redmonds, Annette?
Interesting. I bet chili lime would be pretty good.
It sounds good, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one of those Buffalo Wild Wings dry rubs has a lime, salt lime.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And that was pretty good.
Yeah.
On their naked wings. So, Diana, you're saying sliced across the grain. I know nothing about the grain of meat. Do you know about slicing across the grain?
Do I know about that?
I shouldn't have asked that question. There's this thing that, fundamentally it's mansplaining. But
yeah.
the more obvious side of it is that I'm like some in my family, that if I don't understand something, my assumption is nobody can possibly know it. And that's not true.
Now, you had a really good point. I will make a flank steak or something where you really need to be careful about the grain. He's like,
I don't know what the...
I
don't know. How do you see the grain?
You just see which direction the muscle fibers are
Oh, okay.
going.
All right.
So I would cut it. I'd get it cut on the cutting board against the grain, really thinly sliced so that it's more tender and good. And then you told me to stop doing it because the meat would get cold.
Oh.
Which is true.
Right.
I get that. Yes.
You need to teach me how to cut it properly.
Well, now I will.
And then I will have meat that's cut. Does it change the texture of the chew?
Right.
Oh.
It makes it less. Which reminds me too. Holy cow. Look at that.
Wait, so depending on how you cut the meat, it has a different texture?
Yes. Especially if it's a leaner, tougher cut of meat. You want to be really careful about. Oh, yep. You can see which way the grain of the muscle is going. Keeps it moist and tender.
Volume is very low for
Uh-oh.
TK. Anybody else having problems with our volume?
Yeah. Oh, and I'll come back to what I was going to talk about, more meat. But Ms. Jackson helped her get rid of her, Carnivore helped her get rid of her arthritis in her spine.
Wow.
Holy cow. I will not go back to eating. No, that is a big bet. I can't even fathom. I can't even get a sentence out. I cannot fathom arthritis in the spine. That just, that does not seem good. Yeah. The volume is low for Annette as well.
Well, let me see if I can troubleshoot that live.
Live. And
JJ will continue to talk to you.
I'll talk about this meat I was going to talk about, which is going to be boring, but hey. He loves it when I preface with, you won't care anything about this. When I've talked about how my mom, some things she cooked really well, other things were cooked to death. Well, we were on a very limited budget, so the duck with the cherry sauce was not a regular item in our menu. But cubed steak was, because it was a cheap cut of meat. And so we'd have cubed steak. I think, again, it was, maybe French onion soup on it, I think. But I remember it being this really tough, chewy hamburger. So I have not had cubed steak since I was a kid. And we needed to stop and get some meat the other day. We live near a tourist town. So in the summer, everyone from Chicago comes up to our town, like everyone from Chicago. So we didn't want to go into town. There is a butcher shop on the outside of town. Stopped there, but the line was like 20 deep. So I went to the freezer and grabbed cubed steak. And I made it for the first time in my adult life. I ate it, I made it, never made it before. Used the Instant Pot. I don't think the Instant Pot made it into a tender magic.
No.
I still think it tasted like really tough, chewy hamburger. It was not great. But I talked about the sauce. I made a really good pan sauce with it. And not strict carnivore. It had beef broth and it had some Dijon mustard and balsamic, just a little bit of balsamic, and reduced it down. And so at least we had the sauce so that we could slick it down and get it down. And we still have a cube steak and a half in the fridge that I'm going to have to tackle.
I liked the flavor.
Yeah?
The texture left a little bit to be desired. True.
Well, and I did buy it thinking it was something new for you to try as well.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'd hit a jackpot.
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
I was imagining steak shaped into cubes like it was something from Minecraft. And that's not what it was.
All right. You run it through your meat chopper and make burger patties. Oh, see, that's another thing we were thinking about getting is like a meat grinder. Because you saw some recipe or something. Or no, someone was talking about grinding a brisket.
Yeah, making ground beef out of brisket.
Yeah.
It's supposedly delicious.
Yeah.
Sounds like it would be, but
we need to get rid of some of our kitchen appliances so we can get more kitchen gadgets. The juicer's gone.
yeah.
I got rid of that a while back, about a year ago, I think.
Well, it was covered with dust even then.
Yeah. We have several coffee machines. We could maybe get rid of
Yeah.
one or two. He's phasey.
I'm phasey.
So he'll go through phases where he likes his coffee done in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. And I started, I don't know, it's been maybe it was shortly after I went carnivore, I started craving coffee, which is strange because I never liked coffee or wanted coffee ever. Like I got into my 50s without having coffee and craving it. And so I started drinking cold brew. I have a cold brew most days.
Is it loaded with cream and sugar?
No, it's black. It's black cold brew. And I do it a little, I do like a half calf cold brew. and it's all right. I mean, I like it now, I guess. And then once a week, I go get a nitro from the Quick Trip, and that is also black. Yeah, and I'm sure that nitro, has some caffeine. That's my Friday treat, is my black nitro.
What makes it nitro?
They put it through nitrogen.
Oh.
And that makes it even a little more mellow and a little more smooth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I tasted it once and it tasted like really bad tea. So I wasn't interested in it. I might as well just drink coffee.
Yeah.
Gravy is good on the cube steak.
Oh, I saw sous vide. We do have a sous vide. And I thought you were maybe suggesting the cube steak in the sous vide. I don't know. You weren't, but that's what I was going, wait, do I see sous vide?
I did the sous vide thing for a number of steaks.
Yeah.
But the last time I did it, I made the mistake of bringing it up to temperature and leaving it there for a long time, still in the sous vide. And when I took it out and I did a little sear on it, it was super chewy, like not in a really ungood way. And apparently if you leave it in the sous vide too long, a steak can get like that. But I don't know the science.
Go figure. But that was a fussy extra step.
Yeah, that was. I didn't like, well, we don't need to belabor what I don't like. If it's cooking, there's no part of it that I like.
So he's talked about his diet when he was a kid, Pop-Tarts and Hostess cupcakes and Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz.
Now, my mom was engaged to a guy back then who worked for his parents. And so I didn't know him. I would occasionally, we'd see his parents out at restaurants in town, especially Natali's. But I knew of him because he was known as the Cheese Whiz Kid. So I knew of him, his notoriety, when I was a kid. Who knew? Who knew?
Everybody knew.
Well, they didn't know we'd end up.
Yeah,
I never knew I would end
true.
up with the Cheese Whiz Kid.
The number of times I got to hear my parents tell other people that I ate Cheese Whiz sandwiches is in the hundreds of thousands.
Your mom was good at retelling a story.
That was almost the only thing she ever did was retell stories. But it was white bread with Cheese Whiz on one and Miracle Whip on the other, and you put that together, and that was a Cheese Whiz sandwich, and I ate pretty much nothing else for lunch for 15 years.
Yeah.
But Cheese Whiz, if you look, the first ingredient is whey protein.
So what's the theory around that?
I'm the tallest person in the family.
By a lot.
And I think it's because I ate so much whey protein as a kid, growing up, in the form of Cheese Whiz. And I tried it again, I don't know, in my 30s. I could not get it down. It did not taste good.
I was trying to remember before I gave up gluten, if I ever had tried a Cheese Whiz sandwich, but I don't know that I did.
That's not for newbies. You have to start young to be able to eat that.
Oh, gee.
Oh, my goodness. So, just lost my train of thought. My breakfast is always eggs and bacon, but more recently I've been starting to skip breakfast occasionally. Yeah. I'm not a faster, I'm not a time-restricted eating person, but just not as hungry some mornings. And that's been kind of a new thing for me.
Yeah.
And even working out fasted and then eating lunch after that. And I'm just kind of excited that maybe I'm entering a new phase of not always being starving in the morning.
That would be something.
Because I'm always, up until recently, absolutely ravenous in the morning.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what I had for dinner. Somebody on a comment on one of our videos suggests that I do the priming.
Yes.
Which I think is a steak and butter gang concept.
Yes.
So tell me about your priming experience.
I think that's moving toward fat. I mean, you would want to be moving toward fasting, I think.
Well, that's whole part of their system, right?
Right. So I am part of the membership and have been for about 6 months. And the priming portion is eating 3 meals a day, nutrient dense, of course, carnivore, nutrient dense meals, and eating all 3 of them until you're comfortably stuffed.
Okay.
I cheated because I've been fasting for longer than I've been carnivore, and I couldn't do, it's like 2 weeks or a month, I can't even remember, but I could not do the length of time eating that much.
Okay.
I was just, ugh. But the theory is that you are replenishing your nutrients. You are really feeding the body, especially if you've been coming from the standard American diet, that you are really topping off all of your nutrients so that you kind of can fall into a natural fasting state. So like you're saying, where you're like, oh, I can't eat in the morning. Like I literally can't eat in the morning. So that you're ready to move into intermittent fasting and to do it from a place where your tank is full rather than depleted.
Well, maybe it's also all of that sort of slightly excess eating, like you're eating until you're stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's also signaling to the body that you're in a time of plenty.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And so if your body's, I don't know how to complete that thought. I was getting ready to go for it and I had no words.
When you see the jump cuts in the videos, this is why, for both of us.
So many jump cuts because we just and she speaks in reverse sentences a lot.
Yes.
So I have to sometimes,
which you've probably noticed,
straighten those out. Sous vide pressure cook. What's a Ninja Speedy, Karen? I've never heard of a Ninja Speedy.
Mm-mm.
It sounds like it's fast, and with the Ninja suggests it's stealthy and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is it's some sort of blender. I don't know.
I wanted to tell my story. Annette's talking about how she hated veggies. She used to stuff her cheeks with her veggies and spit it out in the toilet, but her mom caught on. Now, I wasn't a big veggie eater either, but I liked green beans. I liked tomatoes. There were some I liked, but I did not like meat. And so one time, I had to wait till I was 11 to get my ears pierced. Yeah, I'll be brief. Try to. So I'm 10, getting close to 11, and I can't eat the meat. It's turning into sawdust in my mouth. So I slip it to the dog. Okay, number 1, not great. Then my mom asks me if I've slipped it to the dog, and I lied and said no. What was I thinking? If she's asking me, she's clearly clued in. I was a pretty smart kid most of the time, but clearly not that night. And so I got in trouble for lying, was really the big criminal offense. And she took away my ear piercing. Yeah.
For how long?
It actually didn't end up being very long. Because here's the part of the story I don't know if I've ever told you. My mom and my dad were divorced. And my dad was getting ready to get married to my stepmother. And so she took me to the salon and did ask my mom's permission, but we got perms. Not good. The only time I got a perm was not good. And my mom did consent. And my birthday's in April, and they got married in April.
Okay.
So it was just a little bit later in the month than my...
So you didn't have to wait a year or something like that?
I did not have to wait a year. But it broke my heart. I mean, my entire life, I was looking ahead to age 11. And here's the karma for it. I could never wear earrings. I tried every type of hypoallergenic earring, plastic, platinum, you name it, I tried it. I could never wear earrings.
Now, you left out one part of the story.
All right.
Is the bargain you tried to strike.
All right. Since I'd fed the dog the meat...
Oh, my cheeks hurt.
I was, sobbing and everything, and I was like, I'll go out and eat the yard. I'll go out in the yard and I'll eat the dog poop. The logic being,
You get the meat back. And she didn't go for that.
she did not go for that.
Ouch.
No can do.
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's that part of the story too. I'll go out and eat the poop. Oh my gosh. I do.
Oh my goodness. I've got to recollect myself now. I'm too hot and my cheeks hurt from laughing. Oh, that hurts.
We actually have wild, I know I'm crying. We actually have wild strawberries on our new property. And I don't know about yours, Annette. You live in the bounteous Pacific Northwest. But here in Wisconsin, our wild strawberries are about the size of a pencil eraser. So I will be eating them again. Like, berry season is upon us, and I will be picking up those little pencil eraser sized strawberries and popping them into my mouth. And we also get wild blackberries. Is that right?
Black raspberries.
That's it, black raspberries. And I will be eating those in season as well. There's just no doubt.
It makes sense to eat them in season if you're ancestrally eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But will you make them into preserves with a ton of added sugar to spread on your toast for the rest of the year?
Well, I'm thinking of doing an experiment with allulose. I found a recipe with allulose, so I am thinking of making some preserves with them. And I keep the seeds in because that's how you know they're real. But yeah, I'm going to give it a try. But even then, how often is that going to happen? When I make carnivore pancakes, maybe once a month, I might put a smear on.
Yeah. Also, you need a lot of black raspberries to make any amount of preserves because these are not very big.
That is true. They are also
very small.
Very small. Larger than a pencil eraser.
Yeah.
But they're not like those.
And they're not very sugary. They're pretty tart.
Yeah, although you brought this up, they do kind of taste of the woods.
Yeah.
You can taste some pine or like there's a note of woods in them in a good way. But I used to also, when I was a kid, not eating meat, feeding it to the dog, right around that time, we had the same type of black raspberries in the neighborhood, and my family would go pick them every... I don't know whose property we were on. It was not ours. But we always went and picked those black raspberries every year.
Let's see what's going on in the chat. Coffee, this is the danger of ever talking about coffee. Nobody's said this in the chat, but very often you'll get the coffee is not carnivore. And to my response to that is phooey.
I like that some of the doctors and influencers have done experiments, though, and actually seen if it seemed to affect them. And
have they?
Yeah.
Had any impact?
No. The ones have been like, yeah, I didn't really notice a difference, so I don't think it has a negative impact on me. I'm going to go back to drinking my coffee. It does have a negative impact on you. Not coffee, not drinking coffee.
Not drinking coffee is...
Skipping coffee.
A definite
has a
mistake
negative
for
impact
me. Yeah.
on you.
So we're coming up on an hour.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably a good time for us to sign off.
Yeah.
We're really appreciative of those of you who came by and said hello and popped in the chat. Thank you for subscribing. Many of you have been with us for a long time now. Tomorrow will be our 50th video, not including the previous live.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation 25 weeks ago or something like that and said, let's do 100 videos. That'll take about a year and see what happens. And we've been absolutely delighted by the response and love seeing the familiar faces pop up in the comments. It means a great deal to us.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Tune in tomorrow, 8 Central, for our new video coming straight for you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.